Today on Week in Review, an inquest into a family's death has been postponed. We look at some grocery-related stats from Statistics Canada, and Dawson Creek signs on to host the Koi Cup Finals. Hello, I'm Jaylene Matthews, and thanks for joining us here on Week in Review, where we cover all the news here in the Northwest from this past week. An inquest into the 2023 deaths of a man, woman, and their 2 children in northern BC has been postponed again, according to the Coroner's Service. 4 members of a family were found dead in a home in Prince Rupert in June of 2023, according to a statement from the RCMP at the time, which did not identify the deceased or provide any information about the investigation, other than that there were no outstanding suspects in the homicide case. In the days after the shocking discovery, friends identified the family. A coroner's inquest into the circumstances of the deaths of Janet Nguyen, Christopher Duong, and their sons 4-year-old Alexander and 2-year-old Harlan was set to begin last week. It was postponed due to a strike by the BC General Employees Union and the Professional Employees Association, and tentatively rescheduled for October 14th. It has now been rescheduled for February of 2026. Inquests are important to families, communities, and the public, and understanding during this period of disruption is appreciated, a statement from the BC Coroner's Service said. An inquest was not mandatory in the circumstances, however, cause of death has not been reported. The Coroner's Act permits the Chief Coroner to direct an inquest if the Chief Coroner has reason to believe the public has an interest in being informed about the circumstances surrounding a death, or the death resulted from a dangerous practice or circumstance, and similar deaths could be prevented through recommendations, the agency's statement explains. A jury will hear evidence from witnesses to make findings of fact, but cannot make any finding of legal responsibility or express any conclusion of law, according to the Coroner's Service. Rising grocery prices keep squeezing wallets across the country, and rural and northern region communities continue paying more due to fuel, freight, and supply chain costs. The latest numbers from Statistics Canada show grocery prices have risen about 3.5% in recent years. CFTK-TV's Helena Sante explains.
The Consumer Price Index shows food inflation peaked at more than 10% in 2022 and 2023 before easing this year. Speaking to a local shop owner, Terry shares with us products in her shop that has seen the biggest price increase.
I would say lately probably meat. Yeah, fresh meat would be the biggest increase, but everything. Produce is still going up, even though, usually you see in the summertime, it usually doesn't. It's still going up. Grocery items have never come down since COVID, never, and I don't think they ever will. And then, of course, with tariffs and things like that, that increased it even more, which has, made it a little bit scary. But I would say fresh meat has taken the biggest hit recently. Yeah.
While big chains like Walmart's may offer sales and price rollbacks to attract shoppers, small shops like Terry's can't keep up.
We don't have the volume. So we're not selling the volume like a larger box store. We don't have the competitive pricing maybe necessarily that Save-On and Walmart's and Safeway will have. We do our very best to try to be as competitive as we can. If something has taken too much of a hit, we'll take the hit first. But like I said, we've been lucky. We have a really good following, so we've been good. We've been holding our own really well.
From milk and bread to fresh produce, affordability remains a growing issue, especially for families and seniors living on fixed income. Asking in small towns like Terry's gets hit harder due to inflation, Terry says.
Do I think some other smaller communities might? Yeah, they might get hit harder, depending on what they can carry and what they can provide. For us, our biggest thing is pricing. Keeping our pricing as low as we can to be able to, provide our staff with decent incomes and still provide our customers with a fair competitive pricing.
She confirms transportation and fuel price increase does affect pricing of some products.
It's a huge aspect. Yeah, every time a trucking company is forced to increase their prices due to wages or carbon taxes or, fuel surcharges, that sort of thing, it has to go somewhere. So that unfortunately gets passed on to the consumer.
For now, families in Terrace are learning to stretch their dollar a little further, hoping the next shipment brings not just fresh produce, but some price relief too. CFTK-TV News, Helen Asante.
A new grief support group has recently started up in Terrace and is putting on its first gathering this weekend. CFTK-TV's Kale Maslin has more.
This coming weekend will see a new support group hold its inaugural session in a notable City of Terrace community space. The Birds of Hope is a grief support circle that would be held at the garage, and the origin of the group's name was explained by its founder.
Birds of Hope is a name that I came up with after my son passed away last year. I was looking for some insight into how I could support the community, and I had a robin sitting outside of my window who was there for over 2 weeks, and it was the first time that I felt hope in my grief journey.
Kaylee Lepisto also talked about how and why she decided to put this group together as well.
I saw a need in the community that we didn't have, so there's not a lot of current support systems out there for people who are suffering through grief, and I put together a circle with a friend of mine, my business partner, and we decided to make it a little bit more of a community-based group.
The first gathering of the support group will begin at 7 p.m. this Sunday, and they will run sessions every Sunday in the same place from this point onward. Lepisto hopes that people will come to share their own stories of loss and grief, find some comfort in knowing that they're not alone, and then start to take the steps towards healing. More information on what's happening with the group can be found on their Facebook page. For CFTK TV News, I'm Kale Maslin.
Up next, Prince Rupert gets a new emergency room. In the heart of Prince Rupert, a new chapter in healthcare begins as renovations to the city's emergency unit promise faster care and modern comfort for patients in need. It's a small step in infrastructure, but a big stride in community health. CFTK TV's Helen Asante reports.
Husky, the Eagle Class!
It's an honor to be here in Prince Rupert today on behalf of my colleague and friend, Minister Bowen Ma, who is the Minister of Infrastructure. I'm thrilled to celebrate the official opening of this bigger and better emergency department with all of you. This new ER has been open for almost a month, I understand, and I hear it's already delivering greater access to emergency care for local residents. And this expansion is so critically important because I know that this hospital serves more than 30,000 residents on the North Coast. This facility is just one of the high-quality infrastructure projects that the province has been working hard to deliver, so we can strengthen healthcare for people in Prince Rupert and in surrounding communities. And we know that there is much work ahead.
In addition to that, we need some extra support. We'll always ask for more. This is not the end. We need some extra support. We want to ensure that the waiting list, the waiting time in the emergency department is reduced. At the moment, we are doing the best, but we need some extra support. And I want to advocate that we're asking for an extra position, which I understand is being approved for us already, an associate emergency physician that would come in and take care of the minor cases so that the emergency trained physicians can focus on the major complex situations. And I'm quite confident, I've been reassured that Northern Health will make this work, and I want to challenge them to ensure that this comes through as soon as possible.
This emergency room is a really important community hub, not just for Prince Rupert, but for all of the surrounding communities. As Colleen said, the healthcare workers here go above and beyond. They show respect to our families, they show respect to us when we are ill, and they take care of us and help us heal. It's important work that's being done here in the emergency room. And I too want to thank all of the healthcare workers that are working so hard day in and day out.
We will bring you more highlights from the event in coming days. A local doctor was recently presented with a medal meant to commemorate his commitment to selfless community service. CFTK-TV's Kel Maslin reports.
Yesterday evening saw a doctor from Terrace receive one of the greatest honors that the province of BC can bestow upon a person. Right by the garden and greenhouse next to the Terrace Seventh-day Adventist Church, Vancouver South Granville MLA Brenda Bailey presented the Medal of Good Citizenship, BC's second highest honor, to Dr. Olivier Drouin. Although at first Dr. Drouin took a little time to come around to the idea of accepting this award.
Well, I'll say initially I was very reluctant to want to be here, but I think it was very cool to have people from members of our city council, people from the provincial level come here, and to be able to just hopefully get a taste to see what we love, what we enjoy, what we're passionate about here. And I think that part is super cool, that we can hopefully share some of the passion that we have here. So.
Dr. Drouin works in internal medicine, and he was nominated for the medal because of his dedication to making holistic healing and advanced medicine more accessible to residents in northwestern BC. And a big part of that holistic approach Drouin takes is the garden where the presentation took place.
It's really from the whole people from the whole community, from many different backgrounds that join here together, and usually it's once or twice a week people are here, and we build boxes for giving to the community, and we just spend time enjoying being in nature and feasting on all the fresh produce we have here as well too. And then actually we use it a lot for the medical work, so some of the produce boxes go to help some of the people that we see at the office who can use it to help for some of their medical needs as well too, which is cool.
Drouin also went on to say that while the nomination for the medal was directed towards him, he felt that it ultimately was a representation of the work of an entire community. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Kel Maslin.
After the break, business is real as the BCGEU strike strips shelves. Well, premiers spar over major pipeline projects, and housing remains a growing concern. Another issue is rippling through the province. The BC Government Employees Union strike is having a visible impact on businesses and consumers right across the province as about 25,000 workers take to picket lines. CFTK-TV's Helen Asante explains.
Here in Terrace, they were picketing outside of BC Liquor and Service BC compound. At a private liquor store, some shelves are half empty, all signs of supply disruptions linked to the strike, although some liquor private stores say sales have picked up. The union president, Paul Finch, wrote in a statement the government is yet to call back to the bargaining table. However, he's puzzled by the Minister of Finance, Brenda Bailey's social media comment.
BC faces tough economic times, along with countries around the world who are dealing with cost of living challenges. And the interruption of services that's taking place is taking a toll on people and on businesses. I know this is difficult right now. As a province, we have to balance short-term challenges with long-term needs. We can't ignore the long-term costs and what that means for the sustainability of our services. We can't reach an agreement that makes service delivery too expensive to maintain. What we can do is deliver government workers compensation that keeps up with inflation and offers even more to our lowest wage earners. It's fair, and it's in touch with today's reality.
At a famous local bar in Terrace, management highlights the impact of the strike and extra efforts being made to keep customers satisfied.
I have been placing order for our liquor and we haven't received it. So we are really running on the stock right now, mostly the hard liquor, and which is which we only can stock from the government through the channels they provide us, like LDB and BC Liquor Store, which is in the town, as they are closed, so we are unable to get our stock. You know, the local breweries have stepped up, like Sherwood Brewery. They asked us if they can provide us more beer kegs, and we don't want to risk the closure, so that's why they said keep running. We will be giving you the stock of the beer, but just for the hard liquor it will be so hard. I know customers will understand like what we are doing and why we are doing that, but also we want to make our customers happy. Because of this prolonged disruption, we don't want to be in that situation. We are not giving our customers the best service, what they want and what they need. So I would highly recommend the government that they come on a fair decision.
As the labor dispute drags on, customers are left with few options and high prices, and small businesses across the north are watching closely, hoping that this standoff doesn't leave them tapped out for too long. CFTK-TV News, Helen Asante.
BC Hockey recently announced that the 2026 edition of the Koi Cup will take place in Dawson Creek. The tournament that crowns BC Hockey's senior male AA champion will run from March 31st to April 4th next year and is set to be held at the Dawson Creek Memorial Arena and be hosted by the Dawson Creek Canucks. Their position as host means the Canucks automatically get to compete in the tournament that the Terrace River Kings won earlier this year. The Canucks have won the storied tournament 3 times before, in 2018, 2019, and 2022. More details like the game schedule and ticket information are set to be revealed at a later date. The BC government says it is ensuring people will continue to receive disability and income insurance checks during ongoing strike action by Canada Post workers and members of the BC General Employees Union. It says all Service BC locations were behind pickets as of Wednesday, but those offices will continue to provide essential services for people who rely on it, though timelines may be longer than usual. The government says checks will go out on October 22nd, but depending on Canada Post's rotating strike action, there may also be delays in the delivery of the payments. It says about 90% of people will receive their money by direct deposit and won't be affected by the postal strike. Still to come is a look at some of Kitimat Search and Rescue's latest work. Kitimat Search and Rescue recently assisted an injured hunter in a remote area near Mount Atna. Rescuers say 8 ground search and rescue members responded to the call to assist a 30-year-old male on the icy pass near Mount Atna. 8 GSAR members responded to the call. 4 members were transported to the area by helicopter to reach the subject who sustained injuries while hunting. The subject was located, treated on scene by GSAR members, and transported by helicopter to the Kitimat Air Park, where care was transferred to BC Ambulance Service paramedics for further assessment and treatment. 2 GSAR members accompanied the subject on the flight to the air park, while the remaining 2 members stayed on scene until the helicopter returned to retrieve them. The subject was carefully located and received appropriate medical care. Kitimat GSAR extends its appreciation to the Kitimat Fire Department, BC Ambulance Service, Summit Helicopters, and the RCMP for their collaboration and support during the response. Search and rescue teams across British Columbia are made up of highly trained volunteers who respond 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in all weather conditions. Kitimat GSAR encourages everyone venturing outdoors to be prepared, carry the 10 essentials, and leave a trip plan before heading out. For more information about outdoor safety and trip planning, visit www.adventuresmart.ca. A 3-day sentencing hearing is underway for the Coastal GasLink land defenders that were arrested in November 2021 during what Amnesty International calls a heavily militarized raid on Wet'suwet'en territory. Slato, Molly Wickham, Wing Chief Cassiak, Jaylene Sampson, and Corey J.O.C. Jocko were arrested. Slato, Sampson, and Jocko were charged with and later convicted of defying what Amnesty International calls a controversial BC court order forbidding land defense actions near the construction of the Coastal GasLink liquefied natural gas pipeline. Amnesty International says their research has concluded that the injunction order unduly restricts the human rights of the land defenders and the Indigenous rights of the Wet'suwet'en Nation, and that by extension, the arrests and prosecution of the land defenders represent a serious violation of their rights. In a February ruling, a BC Supreme Court judge found members of the RCMP made grossly offensive, racist, and dehumanizing remarks during the injunction enforcement and arrests. The arrested were carrying recording devices which captured conversations between police officers, which the judge described as highly offensive and clearly racist terms. Due to this, Chief Slato, Molly Wickham, Jaylene Sampson, and Corey Jocko can expect reduced sentences. Representatives from Amnesty International are in attendance at the sentencing hearing, which is expected to conclude Friday. Next up, we'll learn more about a pair of Halloween-themed events that are being put on by a local museum. CFTK-TV's Kale Maslin has more information.
The Heritage Park Museum in Terrace is putting on a pair of events at the end of the month in order to commemorate the incoming Halloween season. One of the events will be a bit more geared to people of all ages, while the other is aimed at horror fans who enjoy solving mysteries.
Heritage Park Museum is hosting their haunted cabins again, so we're having 2 nights, and we have a whole storyline this year. We have a board that we put ideas on, and there's 4 different cabins that visitors can go through and try to solve the mystery of the story. And there's also jump scares and gore and horror and stuff. And then we also have a more family-friendly event that we've had for years and years and years, and it allows kids to trick-or-treat safely at the museum. And we have crafts and games, and that's going to be on Halloween from 3 to 6, just before the second night of the haunted cabins.
The fictional mystery of the haunted cabins follows a storyline set in the 1930s, where a young girl has gone missing and the clues to her whereabouts are hidden in the aforementioned 4 cabins. The planning of these events usually begins in late August and early September, and while putting them all together is a bit of work, the museum has various volunteers giving them a hand.
For the kids event, we have a number of different organizations helping: Visit Terrace, Heal Yoga, the Men's Shed, City of Terrace, and then we have a bunch of donors for candy as well. And then for the haunted cabins, we rely a lot on community volunteers. So we have quite a few younger people, high schoolers, that are helping with prop building. A lot of our props and things are homemade, so we rely on volunteers who come every week for weeks up to the event to help build them and make them. And we have people ranging from 13 all the way up to 60 volunteering for this event.
The Haunted Cabins event has existed for a few years now, but the storyline approach the museum is taking this year is different from how it was done previously.
So previous years, there was 4 haunted houses, but they were all a different theme and they weren't interconnected. And this year, we wanted to bring it more to life and make the whole park its own village that you're a part of, kind of the horror story.
The trick-or-treating event can be attended if you make a donation, and the Haunted Cabins tickets cost $15 and can be purchased at Misty River Books. All profits from the events will go towards other local community programming and events. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Kale Maslin.
That wraps up this week's edition of Week in Review here on CFTK-TV. For more local news, visit CFTK-TV.com or subscribe to us on YouTube or TikTok. Thanks for tuning in and have a great weekend.